Hello and welcome back to the Vacate Sports Podcast, where Josh gets to talk for a long time, which is nothing normal because I don't know how to control myself, and Gavin is very annoyed at that, and that's why we're breaking up. JK, we're not breaking up, but I do talk too much. But it comes in handy when you're talking about brackets, and you have to talk through 68 teams. In this case, now it's going to be 64 by the time this comes out because teams have already lost, but that doesn't really change my opinion on much. So let's get into my bracket. Why? Gavin wanted me to. We're going to just do it. So, first, we have Gavin, I just got a notification. Can you see if my thing's still working? Am I still presenting? Okay, cool. Thank you. Alrighty, let's go through my bracket. Obviously, Gonzaga winning. Alrighty, Oklahoma versus Missouri. Pick Oklahoma. We forgot to say this. I don't know if this part will come after or before our together part, but Oklahoma is losing their starting point guard, who's their best shot creator or playmaker on their team, and their starting point guard who leads them in assists and leads them in steals and is a good defensive point guard. So that's not going to be a good thing that they're losing him. So take Missouri in that one, and I'm going to as well. Then I have UCSB beating Creighton. Why? Because UCSB is on a hot streak, and Creighton just got beat their brains out by fucking Georgetown. So let's go with that. UVA, they're actually amazing defensively. I originally had Ohio beating them, but with Jason Preston being so good, but Virginia is so good defensively, I have them winning. Even though Drake won their game today, that's still not going to change anything. Evan Mobley is insane. Top 3 pick. Really, really good. Have them winning. If you watch either later in the video, I'll talk about Kansas and why they're going to lose, but I'm not going to go into too much here. I just say Eastern Washington winning. Oregon, I don't get the hype around VCU. Very, very good team. As you can see, I'm going all the way to the Elite 8. I think they're an amazing team defensively and all that kind of stuff. And, of course, I have Iowa winning. Then Michigan, of course, 116. I have LSU winning, a much harder schedule, as you can see here, as well as pretty similar. The only thing is that Bonaventure is so much better defensively, but once again, Bonaventure is not facing teams like a Kentucky, which I know is not very good this year, but still good teams in that SEC division. I just cannot think of them right now, so I just went with Kentucky. But as you can see, pretty even, but the physicality and the hot streak that LSU is on, I like LSU in that matchup. Then I have Colorado over Georgetown. Yes, I know Georgetown just won the Big East, but as we talk about later or beforehand, Colorado, really, really good team, underrated. They also just nearly won their Pac-12, so they're also in a very similar situation and are coming off a bit of a hot streak to end of the year, and that's why they're winning. And then FSU, just such a good team. I mean, lately with Leonard Hamilton, I know he's out with an Achilles tear or something, Achilles rupture, which was weird, but I think he'll still be coaching, and we hope he'll still be coaching. Anyways, that team is just so big that not many teams can beat them ever since Hamilton's really implemented a system a couple years ago. They've been more of like either a sleeper team or a team actually able to go as far as they're expected to. Then BYU over MSU. MSU won this game, or is winning this game right now, I think. If we look up here, yep, they're up by 12 or 8. I can't do math. 8 on UCLA, and MSU, their ability to play in big games by beating Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio State towards the end of the year shows that they have a real skill and that they are able to show up when the moments matter, as well as I like Tom Izzo more than BYU, who just beat up on a bunch of shit teams and then got their ass kicked by Gonzaga. Moving on, Texas, don't count on Abilene Christian. If you look at their numbers, as you can see, are based off of my stats, which, by the way, shout out to this whole cool thing where you can do 3-point percentage, you can rank your stuff and how much it matters to you. I love that, but they have Abilene Christian. Of course, I'm not going to go with Abilene Christian because sometimes like the strength of schedule is not really as effective as you would want or something like that, adjusted performance. And you just think that Texas is the better team. In this case, I do. So I'm going to have them winning, but don't count on Abilene Christian. Very good team. UConn, bad matchup first round with Maryland, but with Maryland's best defensive and being a great defensive player and defensive player of the year in the Big Ten, that is extremely, extremely impressive. And that's going to be a bad matchup for them. But if they can get past that, they're going against Bama, who's facing an Iona team that has made it. Shout out Big Cat from Barstool. He made this point, and this is a great point. People are like, "Oh my God, look at Rick Pitino bring this team back to the tournament." This is actually a pretty low seed for them because this is their 4th straight year making it. So he more inherited this. So that's kind of on not really impressive by him, and it's kind of being overrated. But that Iona team is still good. But of course, as you can see, I have Bama going all the way to the Final Four, so I think of them much, much higher because their high-flying offense, their three-point ability, and their run-and-gun layup or three-point style, I think really, really works well in the tournament against most teams. Moving across the bracket, we'll start at the bottom. Houston, great team. I think one of the best 2 seeds out of all the 2 seeds, if not the best 2 seed, which is weird because I don't have them in the Final Four, but I have Bama in the Final Four. That's just because Illinois, as you can see, I have them winning, is much better than Michigan. Then I have Clemson being Rutgers. Rutgers kind of overrated. They just lost every game that they were supposed to, and they won every game they were supposed to, right? They played every team except for that one against Illinois at the beginning of the year. They played every team, every shit team, and beat the shit teams in the Big Ten, and then lost every good Big Ten team. Of course, West Virginia over Morehead State. No real reason to pick Morehead State besides a fluky upset, which I don't really choose. I choose more like, okay, I think this team can beat them, but if not, then I don't choose them. Obviously, San Diego State University, I think a really, really good team out of that Mountain West Conference, and as you can see, as a 6th seed, really good. Look at this 3-point percentage, nearly 38%, as well as opponent's point per game, 60, really, really good defense, and then on a hot streak with a 100 in the last 10 games, adjusted performance, defensive efficiency, all that kind of stuff. Really, really good team, and I like them over Syracuse, and as you can see, they're going all the way to the Sweet 16. Then we have Cade Cunningham, not much of an excuse or not much of a talk here. Guy up for the Wooden Award as the best college player in the country. So obviously I have them winning. And then I have Oregon State on a hot streak by winning their Pac-12 conference and beating Oregon and beating Colorado. I have them beating Tennessee and continuing that hot streak. Then I have Georgia Tech, once again, another team that we either talked about beforehand or stay later for me to go more in depth on, but I have Loyola Chicago beating them. Of course, 1-16, have Illinois winning. Then OSU winning, of course, obviously. Then Virginia Tech, once again, we talk about more. Also, if you look here, like basically better in everything except for points per game, points in the paint per game, and free throw percentages. Of course, those all matter super a lot. English escaped me, but Virginia Tech, really, really good team. They were ranked like 16th in the country 2 days ago or 2 weeks ago, and then they got COVID. So, they should not be a 10 seed, and I can't believe Florida is that high. And also, I don't know if they show their records. They do not, but Virginia Tech is a very good team. Obviously, Arkansas over Colgate. Then I have Utah State. Once again, another team we'll talk about later. Another team we'll talk about later about University of North Texas over Purdue. And another team we'll talk about later versus Nova and Winthrop. These teams either before or after. Once again, don't know if Gavin's putting them before or after. Then UNC versus Wisconsin. I used to have Wisconsin here, but take it from a Wisconsin fan himself. And Big Cat, from Barstool again, he said that he's not excited at all for this team, as well as I trust Roy Williams much more in March than I trust whoever the Wisconsin coach is, because I don't know who the Wisconsin coach is. So, and then, of course, Baylor winning that one. So I'm not going to talk about the teams as much because I've already went in depth not in depth, but I've went in depth as much as I should for these teams in the first round. So I'm just going to kind of rattle off teams, unless, of course, it's a surprise. Then I'll say why. So Gonzaga over Missouri, of course. UCSB over UVA, or UVA over UCSB, of course. USC over Eastern Washington, yes. And then I have Oregon beating Iowa, and that is because Oregon's physicality and ability to score and defend in the paint is going to make the difference, because if you watch Big Ten basketball, you know that Luka Garza struggles anytime he goes against any physical big defensively. So, yes, he may put up 30 points, but you know what else he'll do? Give up 30 points. So it honestly comes out to a neutral. It doesn't matter if you put up 30 points a game if you're giving up 40 points a game, because those two cancel out. So it doesn't matter. So I think that's where Oregon's length and athleticism will be able to outreach the white boys of Iowa, to be honest, who are not the most athletic team ever. Now, they're not athletes, but they're just more, smart cutters and three-point shooters, to be honest. And it sounds like I'm just stereotyping, like, oh, we have This team that is mainly non-white, athletically and length and strong, and then we have team that's white, and then they're good shooters and smart and that kind of thing. That's because they're two stereotypes of teams like that. They are just the stereotype teams. And why are these stereotypes of basketball teams created? Because they're based on real basketball teams and why those real basketball teams are the way they are. So that's why. And sounds wrong, but I mean, it is what it is. These teams are what they are. And I just think that I want to take Oregon with also the March Madness experience, and the lack of defensive ability of Luka Garza really, really kills them. Once again, we'll talk more about those teams later. I probably went in too much, but once again, Michigan 1 seed over LSU. Hunter Dickerson's going to make a difference. Maybe Livers is back by that time. Then Colorado over FSU. I think this is where Colorado's depth will really show. And their speed against FSU. Yes, FSU is big and all that, but I think if they go against a team that's just run, like Colorado is, and they don't really play their center that often, I think that they're gonna be able to pull out this win. Then I have Texas over MSU. Obvious reasons. Texas is a really, really good team. Then I have Houston over Clemson. Like I said, like Houston. San Diego State over West Virginia. West Virginia is frauds. They are fraudulent, frauds. They're a shit team. They can't beat anybody good, and they're going to be facing a good team in San Diego State University. Therefore, they're not going to beat them. Of course, the next two, I have Illinois winning despite Loyola Chicago being good, and I have Oklahoma State winning, which, of course. Then I have OSU winning, Arkansas winning. That ends the streak of Utah State and University of North Texas with Nova, and then Baylor. Now we're just going to flip sides again and continue on our way. So Gonzaga, once again, one of the best teams. USC, I think Evan Mobley is really, really good, but the supporting cast is not good enough to beat Oregon, even though they're a higher seed than Oregon for some reason that I don't know of. And I'm pretty sure they played against each other, and it did not turn out well for USC, of my recollection of doing my research. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. Michigan beating Colorado because Colorado doesn't really play their big man, and I think Hunter Dickerson will have a really good game. Then I have Bama beating Texas because of Bama's play style. I love their play style for March Madness. Run, gun, layup, 3-point. That's it. Play defense. Done. Nothing else. And I think that's really going to be a struggle for Texas. And I think they'll just be able to outrace Texas. I have Houston winning, like I said. I like Oklahoma State, and I think Cade Cunningham and Io will cancel each other out. I think. I can't remember the Oklahoma State's other guard, but he's a really good defensive guard, just like Trent Frazier. So I think those guys cancel out. But I think the difference, once again, like he'll be the difference in most games. The cock, Kofi Cockburn, so big, so strong that unless you have a really big, really good defensive center, you're really going to struggle against the Illinois team. Then I have actually Arkansas beating OSU because Arkansas reminds me a lot of Alabama. Ton of threes, running gun, and I think that's going to struggle. Not really going to struggle, but I don't think that plays to the strengths of OSU, which is a team that kind of wants to control the space. Now, do I think they can pace in space? Yes. Do I think they can do as well as Arkansas? No. That's why I have Arkansas winning that game. And then I have Baylor winning because Baylor is one of the best teams in the country. Then Gonzaga beating Oregon. Of course, I have Bama, like I said, against Texas. I think run, gun, layup, 3-point, and defense. I think that'll be an issue, and Hunter Dickerson won't be able to keep up, and that's really going to struggle for them, and they won't be able to keep the pace because of how much pressure that Bama team is going to be putting on all their teams, and that's why I have him going to the Final Four. Illinois beating Houston. As you can see, I have Illinois winning, so of course I got to have that. And I think that Illinois is just the best team in the country. So I think that Dosunmu will be able to take over. I think Cabello will come in when he's out and take over, all that kind of stuff. And I think Baylor's just a better defensive team than Arkansas, and Baylor's switchability on defense allows them to beat a team like Arkansas that wants to do the run and gun type situation. But if we get into the Final Four, that's where it hurts them. They're all a bunch of 6'6" to 6'10" guards, or not guards, but forwards who are super, super switchable, and that's going to hurt them when they have to go against a big man like Kofi Cockburn. That's going to hurt them like that, or the shiftiness of Andre Cabello. I think that's really, really going to hurt them. Yes, I like their switching scheme, and it's really good, but when you have the extremes, they offset all the in-betweens you have. Because when you have a 7'1", 290 center, tell me how a 6'9", 200 guy is going to stop him. he can't. And Coburn, if you're watching Illinois basketball, has gotten better at passing out of double teams, so that will help him as well. So there they move on to the national championship game. Then this Gonzaga team, won't choke. Why am I saying this? Because this Gonzaga team actually has a top 5 recruit in Jalen Suggs, which they haven't had for a long time, and they've always just been able to they've been coached up by Mark Few, who's a great coach, but kind of a choker. So they'll be able to beat Bama because I think, unlike all the other teams, they have enough talent to control the pace. They have enough talent to slow it down and be like, Bama, stop your game. And I just think they're the better team, so they'll be able to beat them. Then Illinois versus Gonzaga. Number 1 versus number 2, both number 1 seeds. Amazing matchup. And I have Illinois winning. Why? Probably biased, but I also think Gonzaga, like I said, not chokers, but choking in the championship game, kind of. Now this, if I show this, it'll have Gonzaga winning. You'll see a lot of red here. But this is where I don't think stats really come into play, because if you look over here, they have Loyola Chicago as higher with all these choosable stats, because strength of schedule isn't really brought in, where Illinois has shown that they can beat the big teams. Yes, Gonzaga beat Iowa. Yes, Gonzaga beat Kansas. But those 2 teams are no Illinois. Iowa never beat Illinois. Kansas never beat Illinois. And they aren't the best team in the Big 12 either, and they haven't been able to beat the best teams in the Big 12. So they haven't been playing the best teams from the good divisions. They've been playing good teams from the good divisions. So I think that they won't be able to get past Illinois, and I think Dosunmu will hit a game ceiling 3, like with 0.3 seconds left, and they'll try and do the Jenkins shot, but they will miss it. And Illinois is going to be a national champion and be the second school to ever bring a national championship to the state of Illinois. And if you can comment down below and say the year, but mainly the college that brought the one and only national championship to the state of Illinois, I will do nothing, but I'll like your comment and reply. If you can say that team down below without looking it up, that would be a cool stat. I always like that stat. But thank you all for listening to my bracket and me talking consistently for way too long. So, Illinois winning. Go Illini, ILL-INI. Thank you all for listening. I don't know where this will be in the video, but if you are planning to continue watching, please enjoy what is after this. But if you're not, like, subscribe, comment down below. Love you guys. Bye.